Our guest, Professor Florence Orabweze, who is a Director, Institute of Maritime Studies, University of Nigeria Enugu Campus, is here in the studio to converse with us on the new developments of Jamb new admission criteria. Good evening, Ma. Well, thank you for joining.
Good evening, Queen. And I welcome each and every one of us to this program. It's very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's just dive right into the conversation. There's a change already, and universities are supposed to adhere to this particular change according to the stakeholders. What is your opinion on this particular change, bringing down the age to 16 years and also the cutoff mark at 150?
Well, for the cutoff mark, the universities, particularly the federal government-owned universities, and the universities and the institutions, including polytechnics and the colleges of education, that are also owned by the federal government and the state governments, they don't have any choice on that. But you can see that Jamb, in its wisdom, also put a caveat to that instruction. They said it depends on the universities. So you can see that Jamb is trying to also help private universities.
Okay.
Because those ones struggle to have candidates for the admissions into the various programs. So if you peg it at 200 or 250, they may not have candidates. And then for 16 years, well, I think the former position of 18 years is it's not tenable, because some of our leaders whose children are abroad, they don't start going there at 18 years. So there is no way the government did the right thing. There is no way we can come here and hold our children or the children of others that they have to wait until they get to 18 years. That was in those days. I got admission from secondary school to university at the age of 18 years in 1984. The times have changed, and we have to change with the times.
Okay.
But I don't also, I see it also not good enough, because we are in the system. I've been in the university system for almost 29 years. So bringing your children, our children at 14, 15, 13 years, those ones are usually praised to the wolves in the university.
Okay, so with the issue of the cutoff mark left at 150, do you think this would give a room for students to be lazy to study, knowing that 150, they don't have to aim for 200, but rather they have to just work towards 150, which is an easier thing to do?
I don't think so. Everybody wants to excel. Not every university will admit their students at 150. Okay. So I would advise our young ones, our children, if they want to get admitted into the Ivy League schools, they know that the competitions are very high. Even if you want to study medicine and you have a cutoff mark of 150, except if the minister is your father or you have a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you can see that you cannot get there. But for other institutions, particularly the private institutions, well, with money they can get in there. But we have to be very careful that our educational institutions, the system is down. From nursery to primary to secondary and to tertiary institutions. And if care is not taken, there will be a total collapse of the system. You know, we mark and score our students. I can tell you that some of them cannot even write their names, cannot even copy what is there before them in the question papers. So the situation in Nigeria is very dire. Everybody is opening private schools, private universities. And you go there, some of them are not supposed to be there. In a country where people are serious about education, the first thing you quoted was Martin Luther's quotation about education. Education is the way to bring people out of poverty. It is the way to bring people out of dangerous superstitions. It is the only way to move with the civilized nations. So we shouldn't play with our educational system. It's a very dangerous game. And most of our colleagues have left in the universities. You go to faculties and departments. In the faculties, departments, you see about 14, 15 young ones. They have left. And those of us older ones who are supposed to not be working as hard as before, we are still teaching young ones at the level of 100 level. Because they have left in droves. So the country is sitting on the precipice. That's just the truth.
Okay, so let's look at how strict this rule is going to be looked at. Even when it was at 18 years, we still had students as young as 17, 16 gain admission into the university. Now that it's at 16 years, how strict is the central admission process system going to be?
You know that Nigerians are never serious. They always have shortcuts. You may find parents going to swear affidavits for their children. Like I told you, in 1984, I got admission straight from secondary school into the University of Nigeria at the age of 18. So the times have changed. I cannot say let them continue to come into the university at 18 because we did the same. At 16, it is okay. So, but the point is that parents and guardians will now go and falsify the age of their children to make sure that they get admissions. And the universities may not know. They are not going to go to their homes to know what they have done. But the truth is that I am telling you as an educationist, I am talking to you as somebody who has been in the university system for almost 29 years, that when they are so young, people, they are malleable. People can manipulate them to do whatever they want to do. So 16 years is okay. But for parents and guardians, I would advise you that your child is in the university, you think that he or she is grown. You have to pay attention to them. You have to get people to look after them and report to you. Don't leave them like that. They may join one cult group or one cybercrime system. And by the time you know it, people will be calling you that they have murdered people or they have been murdered. And I would advise our young ones, he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. The Bible cannot lie to us. The type of heartbreaks that their parents undergo, the type of shame they go through when they kill people or when they are killed, it is unimaginable. As a mother, as a teacher, as a mentor, as an older person, I will urge them, please, please, please and please, let them know what they are doing. Even for us, the teachers, I don't see my students as just my students. I see them as our children, because the country belongs to them. They are the future hope of this country. So we have to be careful about the way we bring them up. It is very, very, very important that we put the right values, the right ethics, the right standards in them for them to be able to hold the country together when we go.
Okay, there are exceptions for special kids, people that maybe they are just really special, you know, even at the age of, before they are 16, they are so smart and they can actually go into the university. What are those criteria that should be met if you're in a situation where you have a special child that, you know, surpasses certain things?
If we are talking about special children, that is why where I don't agree with Jamb. Because anybody will tell you that my child is also special. Special in the sense of what criteria? In private institutions, if you want your child to get a AA or A1, they will help you. As long as you're paying. And even we all know that they have special or miracle centers. The point is that they may be mature in cognitive scale, in the sense of getting 400 over 400 in Jamb and A. But they will be lacking in getting wisdom. They are brilliant, they are intelligent, but they may not have the wisdom. And that is why I said that we have to be careful. If you get them because they are special children, you get them into the universities and the polytechnics and the colleges of education at 11 years. Well, you are telling us, the teachers, that we have to go and find pampers for your children. And I tell you that over there you have wolves. So the wolves may turn them into what you would not like. That's why from day one, I would tell parents, don't think, even if they're 20, 25, don't think that they're adults. You still have to monitor them.
So from the angle of the universities, they are about to admit children that are not adults, children that are still teenagers, they are 16, they probably have no life outside their house, and they are about to be introduced to a very broad world where they meet different people from different places. Just as you said, they are easily manipulated and there are wolves out there. What is being put in place for the safety of these younger ones? Maybe a counselor or whatever situation it is.
I will advise every head of institutions that they should have counseling units. We need that. It's an imperative. It is compulsory. It is mandatory for us to have that place, because some of them are so harassed. Even though we have a kind of checks and balances, like you have in the institutions, you may have a cervical, assurance unit, and what have you. When the harm has been done by even our colleagues, they need also psychological health, mental health. And I advise the departments, the faculties, the heads, the deans, the directors to also be close to their students, also be close to their staff, to the staff under them, to know what's happening to them. You look at their faces as parents, as mothers, as fathers, as mentors. Even the ones under you, they also need to be happy. Because if they are not happy and they are carrying one cross or the other, they will spread that cross for other people to also carry. So it is very important that even as head of department, as dean or director of institutes and centers and faculties, that we have to make sure that those working under us, that we also pamper them, praise them when they are doing well, ask after them, so that they will be happy and they will be willing to make sure that the students are also happy.
Okay, will the lower admission threshold still give this room for competition, competitive situation, even in the universities, whereby we have courses like law, medicine, engineering, and now the cutoff mark has been put to 150. Will there still be a room for competition among students?
That's what I said before. The students, if you are going to take Jamb or whatever, don't think that you have a rosy situation because with 150 you come into the university. Except if your father is in the presidency or a member of the Senate. That competition is still stiff. For medicine and all those courses you mentioned, the competition in higher institutions, prestigious higher institutions, may be as high as 330. So you can see that with 150, it's not easy to compete with those kids. So I will advise anybody and the parents that when your children are in secondary school or primary school, you have to be careful of where they are. They may generate scores. You know, we have seen that in the past, and it's still happening. They may generate scores that are too fantastic. You will be clapping for your child as a brilliant child. Then when it comes to examinations that are equalizers, like WAEC, like NECO, like that Jamb, the parents may be disappointed at the scores of their children. So it's not yet Uhuru. They have to read.
Okay.
And when you come into the university, don't also relax. For those who scored very high, 330, we wouldn't like to know how you scored your high marks. But from evidence before us, even those that come in with a supplementary list, from supplementary list, and when they come, they are serious. They know why they are there. At times, they end up with first class and 2-1. And if you come with 330 and think that you're a champion, you don't need to work hard to continue to excel, then the person will be, I'm missing my lectures, missing assignments, going to parties and going to wherever the person wanted to go without continuing with the reading. The person will be disappointed that there is no magic there.
So how will this revised criteria affect private universities?
Well, from 140, 120 to 150, we are still where we are for them. You have so many private universities, and many of them are still springing up. And they depend mostly on, most of them, leftovers of federal universities admissions. If they cannot get, if the students cannot get,
Then they
or
should
if
come
the candidates
to
cannot
private.
get, yes, they run to private universities. And they are part of the problem of this country. Private primary schools, private secondary schools, now private universities. Everything is being lowered. A university like Covenant is doing well, and there are few of them, even beating state-owned and federal universities. But for many of them, they have to sit up.
Okay, so this criteria by Jamb, is it just enough, or do you think certain things should be incorporated, like maybe an interview as part of the standard process?
My daughter, you have said it all. We shouldn't, Jamb has made its own statement, but remember that it's also put a caveat. It depends on the university.
Okay.
So if it depends on the university can also sieve their candidates. It is known in the past, with our experience in post UTME, that some students, that the so-called bright students that scored 330, 340, 370, when it comes to that almighty UTME, some of them perform abysmally low. So our advice to universities, if it's possible, let them also further sieve the students that they are being admitted, so that the right candidates that are serious about this country will come in.
Okay, looking forward, with all this that has been happening in the universities, the latest development with Jamb, what would you say about the Nigerian tertiary education system in few years to come with this current development?
Well, Jamb cannot do otherwise. It's what they have seen. Very low performance. And very low performance should be traced from the cradle, garbage in, garbage out. And the weight of it should lie with all these mushroom primary schools, nursery schools, secondary schools that generate fantastic and fabulous results. So when you now put them into where they are now graded equally, you see them going very low. That's just the truth. The system, the educational system is very bad. You go to universities, many of us had left the country, and they are still living in droves. You go to faculties, you can have about 30, 40 people living in a faculty. In a department, you can have 10, 12, 13, 14 because of the low wages, the very poor salaries that are being made. The point is that this country is not interested in the education. And any country that jokes with its educational system will have a collapse. Some of us are getting tired. You still do the works of very young lecturers. They go there for their master's, PhD. They don't come back because there is nothing to come back to. You employ them today, tomorrow they will leave because of the poor payments. It is no longer our take-home pays are not good enough. They cannot take us home, even to the next bus stop.
Okay, so apart from the payments, there are other things that happen in the university, and we expect that these things should not be happening under the watch of the stakeholders in the university. How can they be more involved in the lives of the students and make sure, because we see ugly situations in Nigerian universities and we don't get, a follow-up of what happened or what has been done. How can these be looked into and adjusted for students to also be comfortable and parents to feel relaxed sending their students out there?
Well, so many things are happening in the institutions. You have, if you're talking about lecturers sexually harassing students or extorting money from them, it is unfortunate. Or encouraging examination malpractices. That's what we are seeing today. But if you entrust your children, who are very precious to us, children who are also precious to the nation, the future of a nation, on somebody who is earning 200,000 a month with 3 or 4 children, then with all the inflations going on, with all the even some of them don't have cars. And when they don't have cars, some of them have cars, but they can no longer buy fuel. You can see the country, I must say it without missing words. This country is making it impossible for people to be honest. The country is making it, I repeat it again, without fear or favor. The country is making it impossible for people to be honest. That's just the truth. Then, apart from that, you are also talking about a system where in the universities you don't have books, libraries, no functional libraries, no lab, no electricity, no this, no that. Because our leaders are not interested. And see what is happening today in the country. Insecurity everywhere. Everybody is going to overseas to train their children.
I mean, it feels safer over there.
Yes, but when they come back, they can't come back again now. Because their cousins and the children of the megas who are here cannot allow them to rest. Can you see it? So it is a vicious and horrible cycle.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your input.
Save Nature TV, news in your pocket.